Hey folks, BlackCross here, and welcome back to another Impressions video. Guys, we are going to be talking about Lies of P. This is basically a Bloodborne-inspired gameplay featuring kind of like a story with Pinocchio, similar to that of Pinocchio, but with a few twists here and there and stuff like that. But ultimately, the demo, I was surprised that we were going to get a demo of this, and so when Summer Games Fest announced that a demo was coming out, I was like, I want to play this. I want to play this demo and try it out, you know? So, I tried it out. And what do I think? Well, let's just first start off by basically saying, if you are familiar with any type of Soulsborne game, this is another good one to be on the lookout for. This is definitely a good one that I feel like a lot of people are going to feel either refreshed or they're going to love basically the challenge, or they're just going to love the overall design. So if you're one of those Soulsborne people like me, Soulsborne nuts as we are, and you're wanting to get into something new, then this is definitely going to be it. This is definitely something to watch out for. But if you are not a person who are up to the challenge, or people who aren't skilled enough to handle Soulsborne, which is completely understandable, I highly advise not to look this up, because believe it or not, this game is pretty hard. I will admit, though, it feels a little... I'm going to say it, and it's going to sound weird at first, but a little unbalanced. Like, okay, how can I put this? In most Soulsborne games, you're going to be a little bit overwhelmed at times. You know, you're going to be, like, overwhelmed to a point to where you're about to die or something like that. And at the very start of the game, it doesn't really reel you in terms of challenge. Like, the enemies are very scattered out to where you can easily take them out, and they're not really that hard to take down. But it isn't until later on in the game that I was able to find other enemies that proved to be a little bit more challenging. So the starting level definitely kind of threw me off, thinking that, oh, this is going to be relatively easy, and then I fight the boss, to which he basically gave me a, oh, you think it's easy motive, huh? And then slams me into the ground. As to be perspected within the Soulsborne game-like style. With that being said, though, admittedly, while I feel like it's a little bit unbalanced, I also feel like the movements isn't as perfected. I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe it's my skill or whatever, but I feel like the dodge is a little bit hit or miss. I'm used to thinking like Bloodborne, where if you dodge into an enemy's attack, you'll effectively avoid damage to a certain degree, and you're able to rack in those damage and everything like that. Maybe that's just me, maybe it's just within the early games, or maybe it is because of the fact that they are still refining a little bit of those movement styles or whatever, who's to say. But ultimately, the game by itself, it could probably be a little tweak here or there, maybe, I don't know. But ultimately, the overall game is just absolutely wonderful. I love the enemy designs, I love the weapons, and one new thing. So, much like in Bloodborne, you have your basic attack, but apparently you also have two stand moves, basically where you're, what I'm going to refer to as the focus gauge, but it's not focus, it's something else, I forgot what it's called, but the three little blue bars, once those stack up, you can initiate a special move depending on the weapon, and the weapon will have two sets of moves. It will have the blade move, but then it will have the hilt move, and the hilt move can be either a defensive or some kind of effective attack. The blade will always be some kind of super blade move or something. Depending on the weapon, depends on the move that will be initiated. And those cost points. Now, the cool thing is, unlike in Dark Souls or Bloodborne, where they normally cost points in order to be used, basically you can fill up that gauge while attacking and then unleashing it to your opponents once built up. I can see how this can be really good, especially if there's like an accessory or some kind of mechanic in which where it will accelerate faster, to which where it would definitely make combat a lot more interesting. But another interesting thing, and this wasn't until further on, you can actually custom make your weapon by changing the hilt and the blade to each other. So in other words, as you gather weapons and as you acquire more different blades and hilts, you'll also acquire a different amounts of different strategy in which where you're going to execute them to your enemies. And I have to say, I really love this mechanic. It's really cool. I found this so fascinating and so helpful because what I felt like was going to be the perfect blade slash hilt maneuver, I switched it up and got super better results. And needless to say, I think this is where the majority of the game is going to be, is where you find these different blades with their different techniques and the different hilts with the different effects. So these things are going to be cool and interesting to add to the game overall. Next to that, you also have the arm. The arm acts like a, what Bloodborne was like the blasters, gun techniques basically. This is another level entirely. The arm actually has different effects depending on what attachment you have, and you can change them in between save points and stuff like that. So needless to say, this makes it interesting. The only thing that's available within the game is a basic punch maneuver based on whether you charge it or not, and then a grapple move, which I haven't tried it on a boss, mostly because, you know, trying it on certain enemies, some enemies will pull towards you, and some enemies will not be pulled towards you. I feel like if the grapple hook was used more effectively, even if you couldn't pull a boss towards you, you could at the very least pull yourself to the boss, which would make it very interesting. But then again, some of the enemies will be yield up highs, which I guess would kind of mess up the trajectory of the game, I suppose, depending on how you think of it. But I like this idea. Depending on what different attachments of the arm they're going to be, may very well depend on like the likelihood that you're going to have different abilities and different techniques of how you're going to maneuver in the game and stuff. There's also the fact that towards the end of the demo, you get access to something called the P organ attachment. Basically, it's this sphere grid system in which where basically you get to attach certain elements boosts to where it will benefit you in combat, whether they be like boost in stamina, increase in how your attack are, movements, the amount of ergo, which is your currency in the game. It could depend on the overall scale of the game, and needless to say, I really love that. I really love seeing something else added on to it. It makes me wonder, though, if there might be a little bit too much added on, but really, depending on how you look at it, this could just be a level of, like, added on bonuses that can help make the game a lot more, I suppose, easier, but maybe not so much easier, but rather just something a little bit manageable for the players, depending. Within the demo, there were 3 bosses, 2 giant ones and 1 human-sized boss, and needless to say, I really love this. I really love the design, I really love how the machines look, and I love the iconic detailed design from like the Pinocchio story, you know, from like the parade puppet to the mad donkey. I like that ideal. But effectively, I just like this steampunk slash Jules Verne's look of Pinocchio. I really like this ideal. I really dig it. I'm looking forward to the actual game, and I have to say, again, if you are a fan of Dark Souls or Bloodborne or Souls-like games, this is one to be on the lookout. I highly recommend this. This is going to be a good one. I cannot wait to get my hands on the full release when it comes out and fully play this. This right here is worth the wait. You know, because it was originally scheduled for August. It was pushed back for September. And you know what? I think it deserves that pushback if they need to. I want them to deliver the best that they are able to, because this game has potentials to be good. This has potential to be like, this is the next Bloodborne, which we haven't had that many Bloodborne-like games, and this one fills it. But maybe to the next level. What with the different blades and hilt attachments, the P organ, and all that stuff. Needless to say, Lie as a P is going to be cool. I'm interested to see how the lie mechanic is going to be in this game, because there's 2 situations in which where the character is either allowed to tell the truth or tell a lie. I want to know what that's about. I want to know. I mean, obviously it's sort of like make a decision, but there's some kind of counter system. Like, obviously, the way they make it sounds like as though as if it's like determines what happens, or it makes something happen towards the end, or maybe it's towards like the ending. Who knows? But I'm interested to see how this lie mechanic is and what's its purpose. This is going to be an interesting thing. But anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to say in terms of Lies of P. Again, if you want to check out the demo, it's available right now on PlayStation 5. Go check it out, play the demo, see what you think. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. This is BlackCross signing off. Catch you guys later.